How's it going, everyone? It's Ben Foggins, Media Corner, back again with a brand new video for today. Welcome back to the movie review, aka after I sword review video for today. This time for this new episode for this series is going to be my review on the 2023 science fiction film, and that is The Creator. Now, this is directed by Gareth Edwards, who you may know him as the director of 2014's Godzilla and Rogue One, a Star Wars story. And he also wrote this movie along with Chris White, based off Edwards' story. And this film tells a story where it's set in a future where it's impacted by war between the human race and the forces of artificial intelligence. And we follow FEX Special Forces agent named Joshua Taylor, played by John David Washington, who is recruited to hunt down and destroy the Creator, and where he has developed a mysterious weapon which can create to end the war by destroying mankind itself. And it turns out to be a child, and what Joshua Taylor has to do is that he has to protect this child from other forces who are out there to try to destroy the weapon as well. So that's pretty much the story of the Creator. Now, I was really looking forward to The Creator. This was one of my most anticipated movies for September, and there was quite a few reasons why. One was because this was a new film by Gareth Edwards, and when it comes to Edwards as a filmmaker, I think he has definitely become a talented filmmaker that's working to this day. Like, he's crafted some really good works over the last few years, like he did 2014's Godzilla, which I really enjoyed that film, even though I do tend to agree with everyone with the biggest criticism that film faced, which was that there wasn't that much Godzilla in that film, but I still really enjoyed that movie. And then he did Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which I thought that was a great prequel to the whole Star Wars saga, even though it did have some problems with that film, but I still had a great time with that movie. So when I heard he was making a new movie and what kind of film it was, I was genuinely looking forward to it, because I was really intrigued to see what he was going to do from his own creative mind here. And another reason why I was looking forward to this film was because of the cast. Like, you've got a talented cast in this movie, in which in this case you've got John David Washington, Gemma, Ken Watanabe, Allison, Janney, and a few other people. And once I saw the trailers for this film, I was immediately pumped for the film because it looked visually amazing from what I saw. Even though the marketing for this film I felt like it didn't really do that well or anything like that, but still, that I was really looking forward to this movie nonetheless, though. And I went to see this film on opening day, which was on the 29th of September, and I went to see this in a really big screening, although it wasn't much of a full house, but there was quite a fair amount of people on the screen that I was in. And after watching this whole movie here, I wouldn't say this film isn't like the next sci-fi classic or anything like that in the most recent years, but I still had a good time with The Creator here. I thought this was overall a visually good-looking sci-fi movie here, but again, I wouldn't say this film is like the next sci-fi classic or anything like that, and it certainly isn't like the next Star Wars or anything like that, but this still is a good movie here. What I really liked in The Creator was, of course, the visual effects here, in which the visual effects here in this movie were absolutely incredible to look at, from the way the androids look in the film, which I thought all that looked absolutely amazing here, from the back of the heads and all that, where we see like the holes through like there and there. I thought all of that looked absolutely impressive to look at here, and the sets as well looked also great here as well. And when it comes to Gareth Edwards' direction here for this film, it looks absolutely gorgeous to look at here, from the visual effects to the production sets and all that, and even the action scenes, in which the action scenes here for this movie were really fun to watch here. And there are times where the action does get a little bit brutal and all that, but I had fun with those moments here. And when it comes to the emotions of the film, the emotional scenes here for this film were really strong here. Specifically, it's mostly between the relationship between John David Washington's character and the young girl in this film here, which we'll talk about all that here later on. And when it comes to the performances here for this film, everyone here in this movie all gave really good, strong performances here. Like, John David Washington is really good in the film as Joshua Taylor. Gemma Chan's also really good here as well as Ken Watanabe and Allison, Janney. Like, everyone here in this movie all gave really good, strong performances here. And the young girl who plays Alfie in the film, who she teams up with John David Washington here for this movie, she was very good here in this movie, and the chemistry in this movie was really sweet, and I really adored that throughout the entire film here. Although their relationship at the very start starts off a bit rocky here, but it soon gets much more deeper later down the line in the film, which I've really dug from all of that. It's mostly with the emotions here for this film here, which, like I said, the emotions here for this film were really strong here, and yeah, they did really pull my heartstrings while I was watching this film here. Although the few issues I do have with this film is that the story does feel a bit familiar to some of these other kind of films, where it's what we've seen before, and like in these kind of films where it's basically about like a person who has to protect like a child and all that from some dangerous people and who are like after him and all that, which we've seen that before, and like in these kind of films, like if it's either in the sci-fi genre or any other genres really. but the story isn't too bad here. And as for the concept, it's pretty creative and all that, but it does have some essence from like other sci-fi films, like say like Star Wars or Blade Runner or any of the big sci-fi movies out there and all that. But it still has some creativeness and all that. But again, it just has some similar essence from like other big sci-fi films and all that. And as for the runtime, it isn't too bad. It's only 2 hours and 13 minutes, but like it is kind of a little bit acceptable. But I just kind of wish a couple minutes of this film could have been shaved off a little bit and all that, because I didn't feel like this film needed to be like too long or anything like that. But in the end, guys, the creator, I definitely had a really good time with this new sci-fi flick here. But again, I wouldn't say this is like the next. I wouldn't say this is like Gareth Edwards' big masterpiece or anything like that. But this still is a good watch here. And if you're a fan of like these kind of sci-fi films, or you're a fan of like Gareth Edwards or the cast, this is one I would recommend you check out. I would recommend you check out to see with your best friends or your family. So that's pretty much all to say about the creator. I'm gonna give the creator 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, this was definitely a good sci-fi flick here, but I just kind of wish this film would have met my expectations since I saw the trailers here. But I still managed to get what I expected to see when I first saw the trailers here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching for my AK After I Saw review on the creator. And let me know what you think of this movie if you have seen this already, or if you just recently checked out this film. Did you have a blast with this, or were you very disappointed with this? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been Foggins Media Corner signing off.